Welcome to Let's Talk Pets with your host, Linda Weston, right here on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub.
Good Saturday morning, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Pets, a fun program. Very happy to be part of the fabulous Hub family lineup of programs. I'm Linda Weston, your host from Friends of Cookeville Putnam County Animals, a nonprofit, totally volunteer support group for the Cookeville Putnam County Animal Shelter. This morning, my co-host, Sarah Hollick-Webb from Friends of Cookeville Putnam County Animals, is with me here in the studio, and we have with us today Dr. Barbara Ebel, a retired anesthesiologist, a USA Today best-selling author of medical suspense novels, and an animal lover. And she is going to talk to us today about the fun of doing what is called agility training with your dog. So, Sarah, before we get started, let's just take a minute and thank our sponsors who make this show possible.
We are grateful to Pet Supplies Plus, located in the Walmart Shopping Center.
And Copeland Veterinary Hospital on 10th Street with 24-hour emergency service.
And Cumberland Pet Essentials, offering pet grooming, styling and spa, holistic foods, nutritional counseling, and a pet boutique located at 142 South Willow in the Willow Tree Plaza.
And Friends of Cookeville Putnam County Animals. So many thanks to each of these groups. And now we get to say good morning and welcome to Dr. Barbara Ebel. Thank you, Barbara, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me on the show, both Sarah and Linda. Thank you so much.
Well, you are one heck of a busy lady, and we are so pleased to have you join us today. Just before we went on the air, we asked Dr. Ebel if she really kept track of how many books she's written, and she thinks about 24, and they're best-selling. Go to Amazon, folks. You'll be like amazed. So even though you are this celebrity author in our midst here, we know you, and all of our friends at Cookeville Putnam County Animals groups, we got to know you through the Chesapeake series of books that you wrote that are sweet, touching, charming, all of those things. So for listeners, anyone who may not have had the pleasure of really meeting Chester years ago or reading the books, tell us about this dog and the books.
This dog was a Chesapeake Bay Retriever. We started out in Florida on the beach where he was digging sand, and I trained him there to be a therapy dog. And we ended up moving up here to Tennessee, and then Chester's whole entire being ended up being a therapy dog here in Middle Tennessee.
So cute.
And as I wrote suspense novels, what happened was everyone started knowing the dog from the therapy dog work and said, why don't you write a book about the dog? We love the dog. And that's what happened. I wrote one book using real pictures of the dog and his friends at home, and then it was love at first sight, and when is the next book, when is the next book, when is the next book? So there's 5 Chester books. So he continued to be both a therapy dog and was a star of these children's books. So now he had 2 jobs. Chester was doing therapy dog work in nursing homes in the region, and then we were also going to events regarding books and reading the books to the children.
Perfect.
Well, these books, like you said, have become wildly popular, and you can get these through Amazon if anyone's interested in finding out more about these and ordering these. But so about your medical suspense novels, so are there any pets featured or make cameo appearances in any of those novels?
Good question, Sarah. Absolutely. Every single novel or series has a running thread with one of my own dogs.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, the actual Dr. Danny books that take place in Tennessee have Chester in all 4 books. And the dog is renamed Dakota. But actually, some of the very, very comical, funny things that happen with the dog actually truly did happen.
How wonderful.
Yeah.
We were talking about your books at one of our board meetings.
That's right.
And one of our board members jumped up and said, oh, I love her books. And she started going on about the Dr. Danny. And so we got a good synopsis from Rachel about a few of your books just from her own fandom.
Exactly.
Well, I'll give you a cute little story, the first book. So we were on Pensacola Beach, and right in the neighborhood one day, there was an open house. Someone was selling their home, and there were about 6 realtors there and people coming and going. And Chester and I were outside, and he got loose a little bit. And what did he do? But he loved people. He ran down the block. He ran up the front staircase, into the house, up into the upstairs bedroom. And it was, I didn't know what to do. Everybody laughed. And when he came out of the house, I just shrugged and I said, well, it was an open house. And so all those funny kind of things ended up in the books, as well as the other dogs subsequent to Chester.
How old did Chester live to be?
A wonderful, very long for a Chesapeake, 13 years.
Wow.
He had a stroke at 12, and I just cared for him, and he was happy as can be.
Yeah.
And another year he lived to 13 years old.
Well, he has his very own dog park bench in front of our
Dog park.
Roger and Marion Moore Dog Park.
Yeah.
He was a special guy.
Cute.
Yeah.
Well, we love when we see animals impact the lives of others. You know, we know that our pets change our lives, but when they get to go out into the community, especially with our children and maybe with some of the elderly and geriatric people in our community, to see them affect their lives as well is just incredibly rewarding, and what a wonderful tribute to his life as well. So
Exactly. Well, tell us about some of the other dogs in your life.
Well, when I had Chester, I always had 2 other big dogs. And unfortunately, 2 years ago or so, when I actually became sick, all 3 dogs the other 2 also became sick, and I lost all 3 dogs in the same year. However, during that time then, I brought in a border collie, and then I lost the other 3 dogs, and so the border collie was then without a sibling. And so about a year and a half later, much to my husband saying, no more dogs, no more dogs, I just went out and got a miniature American Shepherd, and she's a little easier for me to handle because she's half the size of these big dogs I've had. So now, basically, I have 2 high energetic dogs, okay, a border collie and a miniature American Shepherd. And I got this all backwards, okay, because I'm older now, right? As we all grow older.
Is that how that works?
And the thing is, I got a more energetic group at home than before. And what am I doing? I'm not doing therapy dog work that's nice and quiet and serene, but I'm doing agility dog work. Actually, it's the trick to keeping younger is to move around every day.
So is that how you got into agility? Because you have these high energy dogs and looking for a healthy outlet for them, or were you already interested in agility work?
No, I didn't know about agility work, and actually the border collie, his uncle was the Westminster Herding Group winner from Kentucky in 2018. Long story short, the border collie was, quote, supposed to be a conformation dog, and pretty much everybody knows what conformation is. But for some reason, I went 180 degrees different, and I just decided to check out agility first. And one other reason was you can't fix, you must fix your dogs in agility for most trials, but the thing is, for conformation, you can't fix your dog, and I didn't really like the idea of managing an unneutered male. I mean, an altered pet. You know what I'm saying. Too much coffee.
When you say conformation, you mean like these AKC shows that are
showing the breed.
Sure.
The breed standards and what the best in show is and most true to the breed standard.
Got it. Okay.
So Bailey is really beautiful because of his line. So in essence, he does make a really beautiful agility dog to watch in the ring.
Sure.
So not that all the dogs are beautiful, but then it's pretty is pretty beautiful when he flies.
Wow. Wow.
So if you were just telling someone that didn't know anything about agility work and said, and they had a high energy dog and they're saying, I'm looking for a good outlet for my high energy pet, how would you describe agility to them? How would you define it?
I think first I'd say it's probably a lot harder and a lot more than you think it's going to be if you really want to do it as a sport. And dog agility is one of the most growing sport in the United States. I mean, it is amazing, these trials. They can't even put enough trials on anymore. And by a trial, somebody got confused with me recently because a trial is, again, we're not talking law, we're talking dog trials. So competition. Yes. Mm-hmm. So there is a lot of training to the dog, both making sure that it's very obedient and it follows all much obedience rules and being polite. And of course, all these dogs are around lots of other dogs, so have to be pretty good.
Have to be social with four-legged and two-legged.
Mm-hmm. Now, some of them, people crate in their cars sometimes, or your own dog, and you're careful if your dog gets a little funny around other dogs. But it's best to have a really well-mannered dog, and you start at the beginning with a lot of basics.
Well, I want to get into this because I got to see you do an agility run with your dog in a class, and I was impressed and amazed and thought it was tons of fun. So let's take a break, and then when we come back, I want you to describe really the components for somebody who's never seen agility, it doesn't know really what we're talking about. So let's just take a quick little break. Don't go away, folks, because we will be right back with more Let's Talk Pets on News Talk 107.7 and 1400, The Hub.
Copeland Veterinary Hospital is a full-service veterinary hospital, including 24-hour emergency assistance, and is located at 821 East 10th Street in Cookeville, focusing on providing the highest quality care to clients and patients through our devotion to client communication, commitment to excellent medical care, and use of innovative diagnostics. Founded in 1970, our veterinarians and support staff can provide a progressive, beneficial, and effective impact on your pet's health. Open Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., Saturdays from 8 a.m. to noon, and closed on Sunday.
Pet Supplies Plus, located in the Walmart Shopping Center on South Jefferson, is open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily, specializing in pet foods, treats, and edible chews, pet toys, and apparel, pet supplies of all kinds, grooming and health, as well as flea and tick items, offering all major brands and a large selection of natural foods and treats made in the USA. Fish, reptiles, ferrets, and other very small pets available.
Cumberland Pet Essentials has been serving Middle Tennessee since 1989, offering dog and cat grooming and styling. In their natural pet market, they sell dog and cat supplies, accessories, and high-quality trusted brands of food and treats. Owner Karen Rataco is an ISCC certified pet stylist and a certified pet nutritionist. She offers free nutritional counseling, helping owners make healthier choices for their pets. Their store hours are Monday through Saturday, 8 to 5 p.m., located at 142 South Willow Avenue in the Willow Tree Plaza. Give them a call, 931-528-7711, Cumberland Pet Essentials.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Pets with me, your host, Linda Weston, and Cookeville Putnam County Animals Vice President Sarah Hollick-Webb on News Talk 107.7 and 1400, The Hub. So Sarah and I have been talking today with Dr. Barbara Ebel, retired anesthesiologist, USA Today, a best-selling author of medical suspense novels, and of course, animal lover. And she is doing agility training with her dog. So I got to see her actually in a class with her dog, and it's very, very exciting. So I'm going to just ask her, folks, if you have never been to an agility class or seen a competition, I'm going to ask her to describe the components because it's amazing. So take it away.
Oh, sure. I think first we tend to overlook how important, again, the basics are for a dog to have a good sit and stay, a good stay before the electric timer goes off between the jumps, because then you have to be ready, the handler has to be ready then to release the dog to come over the first obstacle and be timed on the course. So some of the things that the dogs do are basic jumps. Dogs get measured when they're fully grown. They get measured, and then they can jump a certain height.
Okay. Relative to the dog's size.
Yes,
got it. Okay,
correct. So, and you have a little wiggle room there.
Okay.
You know, little higher, a little lower. Okay. So jumps are involved. There are wingless jumps. There are
ramps, big ramps.
The ramp, then there are obstacles. We call them obstacles.
Okay.
So yes, there are jumps. And that would be, for instance, a competition called Jumpers with Weaves. So the dog is going to do all jumping, but then there are the weave poles. Everybody's probably seen them on the big competitions. Those dogs, some of them fly through them.
Yes.
And they barrel through them and jam their shoulders. And what they do for the love of the sport and for their handler is amazing. And then there are tunnels often in Jumpers with Weaves. So then that is one kind of a class. Then there is also a standard course. That is all the things I just described. But in addition, there is something called a teeter. Basically, it is like a child's seesaw.
Right.
So the dog can't be afraid of it.
Right.
What you do is you train your dog when it's very little on something very small. I trained my miniature American Shepherd all during COVID in the house, in little rooms. So basically, interestingly enough, she didn't learn speed. She learned how to be very meticulous on these obstacles. So I had a little tiny board with a PVC pipe underneath it, and you would teach her very carefully to go up and then bang it. But then in the trials, they have to be sure to make, quote, contact at the end. If they just fly off, it's an NQ, okay? They didn't qualify. A Q is a qualifier, NQ is a non-qualifier.
Okay.
So so that's the teeter. Then there is an A-frame. It's this bigger plank that goes up and then down.
Right.
And it's the same thing. The dog has to make contact at the end. There'll be a yellow partition painted at the bottom, and they must make contact. They can't fly off. And so then those are the main contacts. There's also a dog walk. That is, they go up the plank, and then it's really, really long ahead of them, and then they go down a plank again. So it's different than the other A-frame, which is pitched up higher and then goes right down. So the dog walk is basically three parts. It's an up, a long ramp, and then a down. Again, they must make contact.
Like the belly bar.
Yeah.
Right.
Now this sounds all really pretty straightforward, but we're having all sorts of lead changes. There's a lot for the handler to learn. So, in other words, you're bringing a dog out maybe on your right hand. You're escorting, quote, the dog around on your right arm. But then all of a sudden the course map changes, and you must actually be in a place where you have to have the dog on your left arm. So you're doing what's called front crosses, rear crosses, and blind crosses. The interesting thing, I have two dogs that are totally opposite. I can only really handle the little dog with blind crosses and front crosses because she's slower and she's meticulous, whereas the border collie is so fast. The only thing I can really do is a blind cross. It means pretty much that he's always ahead of me, and I have to pass behind him, and he has to check his head into me to see where I want him to go next. It's totally opposite, and it's just the way it worked out with these two breed dogs that I have.
Well, it's so fun to watch. And as Barbara was saying, what was amazing, a couple things when I was watching it. The dogs, when they get to the weave pole, they have to go into it with a certain shoulder, don't they? I mean, it's a left shoulder or right shoulder that they have to start the pole.
Well,
with?
the poles are set up that actually they can only go in on one side.
Right.
So the handler can be on either side, but if you're looking at the weave poles, they must go in on the right.
I've just remembered hearing that there's just one side. The other thing, folks, that is just so amazing is watching the handler try to stay ahead of the dog, because these dogs are fast like lightning, and they're looking at the handler like, where to next, Mom? So you've got to be really 2-3 steps ahead of them.
Or do, quote, distant handling, where
Stand on the other side of the fence.
yeah, that's it, Linda. So I have a hard time with Bailey, the border collie, because he's like lightning, and I'm so much older, and so I can't keep up with him. So unless I do really good distant handling or got my cues in, sometimes he's so fast I can't even verbally get the cues in fast enough.
It's amazing to watch.
So he's harder for me to handle, whereas the mini Aussie, actually her and I are, and she is in masters already. She's only 2 years old. She's all her classes masters. She's made the ribbon wall basically fall to the floor, and they're mostly her ribbons versus Bailey's. But her and I make the perfect team because she's meticulous. We're the same speed. She listens to me, and we're just perfect together. Whereas Bailey, Bailey's 3 years old, but hey, he's dealing with somebody a lot older, and he's way, way fast.
Well, you're doing going to a trial event this weekend, right?
Knoxville, yes.
So is this?
Always both dogs
Both dogs go?
Always.
Okay.
And so I'm juggling two dogs and running them they're actually in the same, they run the same courses because they're both at that level. Bailey's just a level below, but actually they actually run the same courses. She has to get a score of 100 to Q, which she mostly does. And Bailey can have a little bit of leeway there.
Bailey's got his handicap.
A little bit. A little bit.
You know, there's a couple things that I really love about agility, and the rest of America really does too, because this is a rapidly growing sport.
Yes, exactly.
You even mentioned, I think, Dr. Ebel, before we went on air, that they can't put together enough trials for the people that want to participate.
There are so many, and then there's a limit usually of 350 dogs runs per trial. It's a lot of dogs. So just to give you an idea, if people were interested, like regionally, now I go out of state sometimes too, and go ahead and double deck that with meeting friends in other states. However, locally, if people think that maybe they can't do it because it's too far away or whatever. But for instance, Knoxville has trials. Harriman, Tennessee, which is an hour away, they have trials. Okay. MTSU has trials. There's a place in Franklin, which is a little too far for me, but that place in Franklin. So Greenback. Then there's other organizations besides AKC. There's NADAC, North American Dog Agility, and they have some trials in Lansing and Greenback, Tennessee. So there are places
everywhere
people can go.
Fabulous.
And you can start at a very novice level.
And another thing that I love about agility is, well, there's a couple things. One, you can have a mixed breed dog.
That's what I was just
You
going
don't have to have a wonderful border collie or a wonderful American Shepherd that's a purebred.
Absolutely.
So there's different categories for mixed breeds or breed specific, if you want to go that route. And, it builds, agility is one of those things that builds the best relationship between you and your pet. You constantly have to be communicating in some way. Sometimes it's from visual cues. Sometimes it's just the act of working and traveling together. Yeah. And sometimes it's verbal cues. So you get this great relationship that at a different level than what we get just with our household pets.
Absolutely. And I have to say, pitching for the dogs, most dogs and my dogs absolutely love it. Aww. Every day I have an agility field, and every day they are just egging me on. Come on, Mom, let's go out there.
Well, I think it's neat that all kinds of dogs can do this. Not too long ago, Sarah and I had a gal on the show who had adopted a cat in Wisconsin. And not any particular, just a nice cat. She took the cat to her vet, and the vet said, "This is a pretty cat. You ought to enter her in a cat show." And she said, "But she's not purebred." And he said, "That's okay, because the cat shows now have household, what's it called? Household, HAP, household pet or something like this." And this cat's 13th in the nation now. And it's won all these ribbons. It reminded me of when you were talking about Bailey and
that's
and
so
your
sweet.
other dog's ribbons. So you can do a lot with a pet that they don't have to be purebred.
Exactly. There's other things. As you all know, there's rally. There's that sport where
Volleyball.
It's not agility. Yeah. Dock diving for the water dogs.
Yep.
There's just so much.
Yep. Well, I just think it's so neat that people are doing things with their dogs.
Absolutely.
And having fun with it. And like you said, the dogs are having a ball.
They oh, goodness gracious.
Well, thank you for taking time out of your day to come and be with us. And good luck this weekend.
Oh, sure
it's
thing.
Be fun. You'll have to let us know.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, we're thrilled.
Well, we just want to thank everyone, just kind of switching gears for just a second. We want to thank everyone that adopted at our past adoption event at the Cookeville Putnam County Animal Shelter. We had a 40 over 40 event, which was to promote some of our bigger dogs, our guys that are over 40 pounds, and it was incredibly successful. So we always appreciate you coming out and supporting our animal shelter. And for anyone that wants to be more involved with the pets in our community, we're looking for kitten fosters. So if anyone has a home or an extra room in their house that they would like to open up for some kittens in need, give the animal shelter a call at 526-DOGS.
Oh, isn't that funny for your to be a kitten foster? Sarah's absolutely right. And kitten season is upon us. And these little kittens, if you can just keep them for a couple weeks till they're old enough or weigh enough to come back to the shelter, they get adopted like crazy once they come back to the shelter because they're socialized and they're healthy.
Yep.
And they're ready to go to their new
fixed,
home. Yep, they're fixed and ready to go. So please do consider being a kitten foster and saving these kittens' lives, really. That is our show for today. Thank you again, Ms. Barbara, for being here. This was great fun. Thank you to our listeners. Folks, if you have questions or comments, please do email them to us at putnamcountypets@gmail.com. We're wishing everyone a perfect weekend. Hope you'll join us here next Saturday on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub.
Friends of Cookeville Putnam County Animals is a 501c3 nonprofit, all volunteer support group for the Cookeville Putnam County Animal Shelter. For more information, visit www.friendsofcpcanimals.org.